Grand Theft Auto 6 just dropped a 30-second reveal trailer for their official poster, and you know what that means? Infinite content for this guy. But since I can't make 510-minute breakdowns of it, let's talk about the dumpster fire in the title of this video, the X console. The guys at Microsoft have been sucking macro hard on the barrel of a shotgun for the last 10 years or so, and it was only a matter of time before it shell ejaculated right in their faces. Xbox is reportedly shutting down 3 studios. Ninja Theory, the studio behind the Hellblade series, which just announced a new movie game at the Xbox Games Showcase, Compulsion Games, the studio that made South of Midnight, and Double Fine, the studio that loves Anita Sarkeesian, so you can already see where that's going. Now all this is being framed as a reset for the Xbox, which I'll talk more about in just a bit, but man, who could have known that making games that no one asked for would have consequences, right? The new CEO Asha Sharma and the Chief Content Officer Matt Booty wrote a memo to the Xbox staff saying, "We will end this fiscal year at about a 3% accountability margin, down year over year. Excluding Activision Blizzard King, over the past 5 years, we've spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content, platform, and hardware subsidy, but our annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million during that time. Going forward, this cannot continue." And of course it can. The 3% accountability margin basically means that if they make $1 billion in revenue, once they're done paying their bills, they're only left with $30 million. Over the last 5 years, they've pumped extra $20 billion into making games and hardware, but the annual revenue still declined by $500 million. So if they made like $25.5 billion before, now they're making 25. And with that 3% margin, they're walking away with just $750 million. Big franchises aside, there have been rumors that even smaller games like Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, and South of Midnight have been a black hole of time and resources. South of Midnight alone allegedly took 7 years and $100 million to make. But since the entirety of the modern audience showed up for it, I think it was worth it. Microsoft gave all these studios a blank check to make whatever passion projects they wanted, and they chose to make dog crap. So they have no one but themselves to blame for this. And while I do believe that the studios did deserve everything they're getting now, the real problem is Microsoft itself and their obsession with cloud and subscription models. I mean, ever since the launch of Xbox One, Microsoft has made it clear that they will focus on literally everything else other than gaming itself. They marketed Xbox One as the all-in-one TV box. They imposed dystopian DRM policies, which were roasted by PlayStation in the worst way possible back then, only now Sony is doing pretty much the same bullshit. Back then the competition was strong, so PlayStation had no choice but to do the right thing. They made some good decisions and dominated the market. Phil Spencer, on the other hand, just waved the white flag and admitted defeat instead of jumping back into the competition. Back then I never really understood why he'd do that. But now come to think of it, he likely did it because the leadership at Microsoft was convinced that hardware is a thing of the past and cloud and subscription services are the future of gaming, so they focused on that instead. And ever since Phil Spencer came up with the brilliant idea of Game Pass, everything has just been going downhill. I mean, Game Pass could have been one of the best deals in gaming. There's no doubt that it makes gaming accessible for a lot of people who can't afford to drop $70 on a single game. But instead of keeping it as just an option for the people who want it, Microsoft wanted to force it down everybody's throats, rising hardware prices, then trying to raise the game prices by trying to sell Outer Worlds 2 of all games for $80. Hell, they even changed their metrics to measure their own success by how many hours a game was played on Game Pass instead of how many copies were actually sold, because they love that recurring sweet subscription money. All they've been doing is making one anti-consumer move after another to somehow bring players in and keep them trapped in the subscription service till the sun f***ing explodes. And what was their strategy for it? Buy half of the industry just to populate Game Pass. But even after all those acquisitions, the only good games they have are Forza Horizon, and I don't know why I made it sound like there was more, but that's it. Call of Duty. So the question is, what did Microsoft actually achieve after burning $100 billion to somehow turn gaming into Netflix? A ton of jobless people. In fall of 2023, the Activision deal went through, and just a few months after that, Microsoft saw the first round of layoffs on January 2024, where 1,900 employees lost their jobs. On May of the same year, they closed multiple Bethesda studios. A few months after that, in September 2024, they laid off another 650 employees. Then the next year, they laid off 9,000 employees all across Microsoft. Now it's unclear how many were from the gaming division, but Activision Blizzard King, Zenimax, and Turn 10 were all hit with layoffs and project cancellations. I mean, just think about it. Microsoft alone has laid off thousands of employees in the last couple of years, and now they're talking about more. The thing is, they deliberately ignored Xbox. They chose to make garbage games, alienating their core audience, all in the name of variety. Having different genres of games crammed onto the platform so there's a little bit of everything for everyone to play, which to be honest is not a bad strategy for Netflix. But this is Xbox. A huge chunk of their audience wants to play badass games. Like dude, I've always been a PlayStation gamer, but we can all agree that the 360 era was pretty cool. The vast majority of the people on Xbox are the people who grew up on super masculine dude bro games like Halo and Gears of War. And all this could have been easily avoided if Xbox just focused on making such games, but they didn't. And it doesn't stop at games either, because the other big problem we're still facing is the hardware prices. Just recently in an interview, Asha Sharma made some terrifying comments about hardware and memory prices, stating that at this point in a console's lifespan, the price of parts is supposed to drop by half. However, because of the memory shortages, which not to mention is caused by Microsoft themselves, the costs have shot up nearly 3 times of what they should be, and pretty soon the prices will end up being around 8 times more expensive. And since a vast majority of people can't afford to drop thousands of dollars on a console, Asha believes we'll start to see radically different business models, hinting at mobile-like payment plans or some sort of flexible storage option. I think we have to think very differently about storage and memory going forward. We will have to apply new techniques so that we can compress that. We will have to empower customers to have very flexible storage offerings. We'll have to empower new types of games so that they can fit on the device. There's going to be a lot of innovation. This will take years, not days, not weeks, but we'll go through it together with the community. Now, honestly, I have no idea how they plan to pull off this flexible memory on a console. Like, what are they gonna do? Sell 12 different versions of Xbox with slightly different versions of RAM? Or better yet, sell a $1,000 plastic box with the brilliant option of utilizing imaginary RAM streamed directly from Microsoft's AI cloud servers under a monthly subscription, cause why the not? Now, you might be wondering, but wait, Asha Sharma was gonna make Xbox great again. What's going on? All this, getting rid of the old leadership, bringing in a new, fresh, hardcore gamer as the CEO, is nothing more than a huge PR campaign, and that's it. They're like, look at us guys, we're going back to the roots. Look, we're adding green color back to the Xbox logo. Look, we're bringing back console exclusives. Look, we're making Gears of War ED. But all this is just talk, trying to leverage nostalgia to win back a fraction of the goodwill they once had, just like Ubisoft is trying to do with Black Flag Resynced. But underneath all those shallow promises, I'm willing to bet that these people still want to push their cloud and subscription services and nothing else. I mean, what else can you expect? This whole thing was based on lies in the first place. And just saying that I want to make Xbox the #1 gaming and entertainment company doesn't mean shit when they're still doubling down on the same nonsense that has failed over and over again. I mean, just look at the hideous character designs in the new Fable game. They've still learned nothing. They're still chasing the mythical modern audience. So one thing's for sure, turning Xbox off and on again won't change anything. Not to mention they've been resetting the company ever since they bought Activision Blizzard, but anyhow. The point is that nothing will get fixed until they move away from all the parasites, the corporate overlords, and of course their infinite cash printing dream, the Game Pass. But then there's another problem. Moving away from Game Pass is something they can't really afford now because 1, that's probably the biggest source of income they have right now, and 2, their entire business strategy revolves around Game Pass itself. What makes it worse is that the growth had reportedly plateaued at around 35 million subscribers 2 years ago, out of which they lost millions because of the recent price hikes just last year. Now yes, they dropped the prices once again by $8, but I don't think it'll really change anything because now the future Call of Duty games will not be available on Game Pass on day 1. Instead, they'll be available about a year after release, and by that time, the game will already be irrelevant because the new Call of Duty game will probably be ready to ship. So at this point, there's not really any incentive for people to subscribe to Game Pass or buy any games on Xbox or even buy an Xbox itself, and why would they? It's overpriced, they've destroyed player trust, they don't have any good games, and they aren't even in a position to support a big console-selling exclusive. So from the way I see it, Xbox has turned into this giant self-eating snake that's slowly just swallowing its own tail to feed itself, and it doesn't take a genius to guess how that ends. That's probably why Microsoft is considering spinning off Xbox into a wholly owned subsidiary because they don't see any other way out of this. They're banking on some outside forces to come in so they themselves can focus on their AI data centers without having to worry about dealing with the gamer chuds. Which I think is a good thing because Microsoft is the absolute worst thing to ever happen to gaming. I mean, just look at this recent interview where Satya Nadella identified the main problem with Xbox being the lack of monetization. Not that they've been making garbage games, not that spending $70 billion on acquiring Activision Blizzard was a bad move, not that turning Xbox into a furnace to keep Game Pass running might be a problem. No. The games are just not being monetized enough. I would be happy for Xbox going to shit since I was always a PlayStation gamer, but because of the recent bullshit Sony's been pulling, I've realized that solid competition is the only way this industry moves in the right direction. And even though I hope Xbox can somehow turn things around, I think they're a lost cause. I've said it before and I'll say it again, we need more consoles in the market. The East has been absolutely crushing it as of late with huge, awesome, high-quality AAA games at a fraction of the development budget. And I know it's wishful thinking, but I really hope to take it a step further and drop their own console for like $400 that lets you play online games for free, and I'm confident they can pull it off. And if you think you've heard this before, it's because I copy-pasted this exact same line from my previous video on PlayStation. But anyways, I'll leave you at that. Do share your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think there's any hope for Xbox left, or are they beyond saving? Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you found the video valuable. Also use the hype feature so my video gets more exposure and my small channel blows up. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.